Governor Manchin's daughter, Heather Bresch, will lose her degree, but it's unclear if anyone at WVU will lose their job. A panel investigating whether Bresch earned an MBA degree in 1998 says she did not. The panel also looked at why WVU officials decided to change her transcript last fall, adding 22 credit hours to indicate that she earned the degree. This all came after the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette called WVU to verify Bresch's resume after she was named Mylan Pharmaceuticals' Chief Operating Officer. The investigative panel concluded WVU officials showed seriously flawed judgment in granting Bresch the degree. Emily Corio reports.
The WVU Board of Governors met behind closed doors for 45 minutes before issuing a directive to WVU President Mike Garrison.
Mr. President, after having received and reviewed the report, I have been instructed by the Board of Governors to outline for you the position of the Board regarding this matter. First and foremost, it is important that you appreciate the Board of Governors accepts in principle the report of the panel. It is the recommendation of the Board that you, as President of West Virginia University, accept responsibilities for errors in judgment and procedures relative to this matter made by members of and personnel affiliated with the administration. Further, you are to inform Ms. Bresch of the panel's recommendation and of the decision that her degree was inappropriately granted. You should also inform her of her rights to be heard on this matter if she so desires.
And I want to say, as president, that I deeply regret that the community, this university community, both here on campus, around the world, has had to endure this process. Make no mistake about it, however, West Virginia University is very strong, and this process and our honest response to it, both from our office and through the Board of Governors, makes us stronger and shows that we are a university whose governance is both shared and open.
Obviously, you had your critics before your appointment who were worried about political cronyism. What would you say to them?
Well, I think we've said from the beginning, we will take the recommendations of the panel as they come. We're very ready to do that and implement those recommendations, and I think there's some good recommendations. And we're going to work very hard to make sure we have a process in place that meets those recommendations. I just don't want to meet them, I want us to exceed them, and we plan to do that.
And do you plan any, knowing what you know now, any disciplinary action against anybody who may have erred in judgment?
Well, we're going to take a look at the panel recommendations first and foremost, and any personnel matters, if any, they'll be handled as personnel matters.
This report clearly shows favoritism in this case, an award of a bogus degree. How did this happen?
I think the report speaks for itself. And again, we're going to review the recommendations. We're going to follow those recommendations. And we're going to make sure we have processes in place that will make it a stronger university and allow for, on a going forward basis, very deliberate dealings with these types of inquiries.
And what do you say to students who worked hard to legitimately earn their degree?
I say the same thing that I feel about my degree. It's the proudest moment I had to have 2 degrees from this university. I'm always proud to be president, but those are the things I'm most proud of, my degrees, and their work should be rewarded.
The panel's report says several top WVU administrators made the decision to retroactively grant Heather Bresch an MBA degree last fall without any records to prove it.
The day we met, and has been referred to as the decisional meeting, we came to a realization that there was incomplete data. We were probably not going to receive any additional data. There was nothing else that we felt was available. We decided at that point that we would make a decision. The dean had made a decision. We had spoke with the rest of the individuals who were present from the college. They agreed with the dean's decision. But the dean waited an additional week thereafter, hoping to find some additional information before, so that we could go back if we had to and re-examine that. So, you know, I think that my opinion from the report is no additional information was found. We erred on the side of the student.
And as you'll read the report, you'll look at the same set of information, but of course the panel had the luxury of 3.5 months. Ultimately, whatever decision would be made, either to grant the degree or not to grant the degree, is a judgment call, in my opinion. And it came down to a meeting in which both Ms. Bresch and Mr. Speaker agreed that happened, and it just depends upon how you interpret the outcome of those conversations and so forth. And when we were presented with that evidence, because we had no corroborating evidence in the college to back up certain things, I erred in my decision on behalf of the student, recognizing that this is a student-centered environment.
Are universities supposed to grant degrees based on a judgment?
In this particular case, I think it's a little more complicated because statements were made by the then director to the student that she relied upon, and the panel chose to weigh that evidence in a different way than I did.
The panel's report says no student, including Bresch, should expect to receive so many credits for just doing their regular job. But beyond this, the panel's report says WVU administrators rushed to judgment when they retroactively awarded Bresch the degree last October. For Outlook, I'm Emily Corio.
Emily Corio joins us now from our Morgantown studio with more about this story. Emily, welcome. Glad you're here. It was written in the report that 2 people were given a weekend last fall when all of this came out to look for records that proved that Heather Bresch did indeed earn a Master's of Business Administration degree from West Virginia University. Now, my question is, who gave the directive for those 2 people to look for these records, and which 2 people had to look for the records?
Well, the 2 people that had to look for the records over the course of a weekend were 2 administrators from the WVU Business School, and that is the current director of the eMBA program and the associate dean. And it's unclear really who gave them that direction to try and find these documents over the course of just a weekend. But the panel did conclude that that time frame was very problematic, and it was just one of the criticisms that the panel pointed out in its report.
What other recommendations did the panel give administrators at WVU?
Well, the first recommendation is that the university needs to act appropriately on its granting of the unearned MBA to Heather Bresch. In addition, the panel also recommends that WVU create a better system to address complaints like this that come to the president's office. It also said that the university needs to establish best practices for how faculty members maintain grades. And it said that the university needs to create a better system for how it does graduation checks, that it needs to rely just on admissions and records, and that is the official records of the university, and not to rely on unofficial records like happened in this case.
Were Governor Manchin or the First Lady ever mentioned in this report?
No, Governor Manchin nor the First Lady were mentioned in this report, but the report did say that the panel felt like Heather Bresch was treated differently because of her high profile.
Was Mylan Pushkar ever mentioned in this report? He's the head of Mylan Pharmaceuticals, which is Heather Bresch's employer, and he also gives a lot of money to WVU.
No, he was not mentioned in the report either.
All right. I'm sure there will be a lot more to come about this report and its aftermath. Emily Corio, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.